You know, I'm shocked I haven't made this video yet. But it was only a matter of time, people. And I think it's time to expose these ships for the frauds that they are. What's going on, YouTube? So you know, I talk all the time about my favorite ships, and I've made videos about my top 5 favorite ships of all time. In my opinion, some of the best ships that you're gonna find on TV. The very best. But I haven't made a dedicated video talking about the very worst. Although I have talked about each of these 3 ships before, some more than others, it needed its own video. And the way that this list was determined is how bad the ship actually is, for one, and also the hype and praise that surrounds the ship. Both of those 2 things together is how I came up with this list. The hype has a lot to do with it, people. Because if a ship sucks but it's not really hyped up, then I mean, it's not really overrated, you get me? It has to be hyped up a lot and praised a lot before it can be overrated. It has to be praised a lot more than it deserves. And that's what these 3 ships are to me. So, in no particular order, let's go ahead and talk about one of the 3 most overrated ships of all time.
As soon as you take this wristband off, we can go.
The only way the Ark is gonna think I'm dead is if I'm dead. Got it?
Bellarke, Bellarke, Bellarke. Now, if you follow me on any of my platforms, whether it's Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, you already know my feelings on this ship, which is, simply put, their overrated sauce. This ship has never even remotely grabbed me, and they get a lot of praise for having chemistry and having a great story, but people, I just don't see it. Bellarke has always been platonic to me. And you know, almost every TV show has that one ship that, even though they've always been nothing but friends and shown no real romantic interest to one another, they still, for whatever reason, has a huge fan base that ships them together romantically anyways. And they try to push the writers to make them be together, even though that was probably never the original plan anyways. To me, Bellarke is not only boring, very uninteresting, lacking romantic chemistry, but they are horrendously overrated, especially when they try to compare that ship to one of the best ships of all time, but I'm not gonna get into that in this video. But in my opinion, Bellarke doesn't deserve much of any of the praise that it gets, and it is more than deserving of a spot on this list. So now let's get into the second most overrated ship on this list.
Be with your best friend.
What about our date?
I had a good time.
I'm glad you were my first date.
Now, if you've been watching me for more than 5 seconds, you know how I feel about Rucas. I don't even know what more I can say about this ship that I haven't already said a million times, but let's go ahead and make it 1,000,001. Rucas is not only disgustingly overrated, but they are without question the worst ship on this list. Although they probably aren't the most overrated if I were to rank these in order, only because although they are the worst ship on this list, I don't think that they're the most hyped ship on this list. But make no mistake about it, they are definitely hyped up way more than they deserve, especially considering they're the worst ship of all time. So any praise that they get is undeserved. Rucas is a disgrace. Rucas is a disgrace to all ships. And to call Rucas a good ship is not fair to other ships that actually are good. That would be like calling me one of the best quarterbacks of all time and putting me in the same class as Tom Brady. That's how ridiculous that is. And Rucas not only lacks chemistry, a good storyline, and everything that is good, but they also have one of the most cliche storylines that you could possibly have with a ship. And literally nothing about them is original. Nothing about them is gonna be something that you look back at years from now. Rucas is one of those ships that is gonna be forgotten the second that the show ends. And yet it is praised all the time and put on the same level with another ship that is clearly its superior. But just like Bellarke, I'm not gonna get into that in this video, because I've already done that plenty in previous videos. But you guys know what I'm talking about. Say what you want about Bellarke, and say what you want about the other ship that I'm about to talk about on this list. But Rucas just flat out sucks. And if you disagree, you're wrong. It's that simple. So now let's talk about the last most overrated ship of all time.
Honey, there's a Styles here to see you.
What the hell is a Styles?
Hey, Vidia.
Now, I know a lot of people are gonna get mad at me over this one, but you know what? It just had to be done. And you know what? It's kind of a shame, really, because of all the ships on this list, Stydia is probably the one that bothers me the least. Sydia is probably the one that is the least sucky, for lack of a better word. I actually don't hate or even dislike Stydia. However, the reason I had to put Stydia on this list is because of how overhyped that they are. Stydia is often talked about as one of the best ships of all time. Of all time, people. Are you f***ing kidding me? And here's one of the problems that I have with Stydia. They have one of those really slow building story arcs. Like, really slow. Snail pace slow. So slow, in fact, to the point that some may argue that their whole storyline is a fantasy. It's not even actually happening. But it's just the fans that, for whatever reason, want to desperately think of them as a thing. Even though through 99% of their story, only one person of the two showed any real interest.
Oh, but Smurf, you don't know what you're talking about. Did you miss all of the signals and signs that Lydia always loves Styles?
Don't you f***ing lie to me. Listen, you can nitpick until you're blue in the face, but the fact of the matter is, Lydia has shown more interest in other guys in every single season except the one that we're in currently. And it's not even close. And that brings me to my second problem. Because after having this very snail-paced like growth during all of the previous seasons, now they're just completely pushing Stydia in everybody's face. They went to being completely snail-paced with it, to being jetpack fast. And that's because the writers admittedly, after not really going with Stydia in previous seasons, they're going with Stydia now. Since this is the last season of Teen Wolf, and they wanted to do something different that they haven't done before. So basically, Stydia went from feeling really slow to like extremely forced in like the blink of an eye. And I don't like it. Like I said, I don't hate Stydia, nor do I even really dislike them. I just don't like how their storyline was handled at all. Not to mention, I think their chemistry is way overrated. I am not at all impressed by any of their scenes, except for maybe one or two, but that had like very little to do with the actual chemistry, and it was more so the writing. But although I wouldn't call Stydia a terrible ship, because of how much that they're overrated, that's the reason more than anything that I feel like they had to make a spot on this list, because I don't think that they're anywhere near as great as their hype. But that's just my opinion, guys. Let me know what your top 3 most overrated ships are in the comment section below. And if you guys really enjoy my channel and want to help me make many more videos for you guys going forward, check out that Patreon link in the description box. But I'm done talking. If you guys enjoyed this video, you know what to do. But as always, until next time.